Okay, so let's start with the gamification panel. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Yanez, and I will be moderating this panel with these amazing panelists that are sitting next to me. First of all, I want to thank KaiPlay organization to let me moderate this activity. The idea of this panel is to talk during 1 hour about gamification. I'm sure everybody here knows about this topic, but the thing that we are going to go through is about the current state of the gamification industry. So we'll focus more on industry, not on research, and how our panelists are applying gamification in their professional performance, and also talk about the future, the trends, and what's going to happen in the next years about gamification. Okay, first of all, as we are going to talk about games and having fun, I would like Esther to please join me, and let's play a little bit, because we want you to be activated, okay, during the panel and be participative. So I give the word to Esther, and please follow her, okay?
Do you hear me? Yeah? Then? No? Yeah, better. Then we are going to look for a partner, 2 people, okay? More or less, you know, you have to look for partner, couple, not couple, peer. Stand up, please, and look for a partner near to you, okay? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Do you know to count until 3? 1, 2, 3. Okay, you have to count until 3 in a loop, okay? If I say 1, you say 2. I say 3, you say 1, 2. For example, 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay? Let's go. Now, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. With your partner. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. In a loop. In a loop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. In loop. In a loop. In a loop. Yeah? Stop. Stop. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now we are going to change 1 for an applause. Okay? When it's 1, we make like this. 2, we say 2. And 3, we say 3. In a loop. More faster. Okay? Stop. Okay. The next. When we say we don't say 1, we make like this. And when we have to say 2, we don't say 2, and we make like this. Okay? And 3, we say 3. And the loop starts again. Okay, and stop. The last challenge. We have to decide what we do when we say 3. I don't know, like this or like this, wherever you want, okay? 1, it's an applause. 2 is like this, and 3 is wherever you want, okay? Loop starts again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I would like to make you a question. What happens when you play? What have happened right now? And what happened when we make mistakes? Love, communication. Sometimes you're embarrassed. In just only 3 minutes, in something so simple like this. This is one of the power of game and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Everybody is a little bit more activated right now, so let's go for the presentations. I will present myself, and then I will give you the word, guys, so you can present yourself, what you do, and something else that I will ask you later, okay? My name is Yanez. As I said, I'm the CEO of Geomotion Games. I am pedagogy specialist. I started working on serious games and gamification industry more or less 10 years ago, until I founded my company, where what we basically do is consulting on gamification methodology for companies, and also development of software, augmented reality apps, and any kind of technology, okay? So, guys, it's your time. Pete, would you start presenting yourself, what you do at your company, and if you can, the last project that you have been working on, gamification. Anything you can disclose, of course. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pete Jenkins. Importantly, before I say what I do, I like strategy games. So I like playing Battle of Polytopia. I don't know if anyone knows that one, but it's a great little mini civilization type game. I run a gamification company, so we literally just advise people on how to apply gamification to solve business issues. I do it all around the world, and I also run a gamification conference and gamification awards, which open on tomorrow for entries. And the last project we worked on was actually for the water industry, to encourage people to save water. Okay, so sometimes we work on marketing, sometimes HR, but I like anything which is behavior change related.
Esther, please.
My name is Esther, and I am the CEO of Marinva. The next year, it will be our 25th birthday, like a company that believes that play is one of the most powerful thing that you can do for training, for communicate, for educate, or to activate people in a lot of in different situations. And we work in different projects in different companies for human resources, for marketing departments, or for education areas.
Can you explain the last project that you have been working on a little bit? You know, to give some context to the audience of what you are doing.
For example, we communicate through play to 14,000 people in a company, things about compliance. And we'll do it playing in a game, because compliance and safety in a company is very important, and we'll do it. We did it playing.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Flavio, please.
So mention something about Marinva, because they were the first company here in Spain to include games mechanics in other contexts. Even before gamification was mentioned the first time in our lives. So they start working on 2005 or 2005, I think. Yeah, 2005. So they have a huge experience on the use of video games in almost every context you can imagine. So that's a very important thing here. So there's a lot of experiences. So they're all full of knowledge. So I'm Flavio Escribano. I am in charge of the boring part of gamification, and I can give you a proof of that. So, and our main interest is being behind the numbers, being behind how to prove in a statistical way how gamification is changing the behaviors and trying to do this to make this gamification more productive. Depends on the sector you are going to apply. So, but it was our first level, our first stage on our relationship with gamification. But now we are in a second stage because we realized that gamification was always there. We started calling gamification, but the use of games for any other purposes than just having fun is barely impossible. So always, when you are playing, always you're learning so many things. And that's why we are considering gamification as a natural and continuous process you are doing when you're playing games in a board game, in video games. And this is related with our last project we're working on, that it was a research, and is also a research right now, trying to figure out how video games are training your soft skills. And why soft skills? Because soft skills are completely needed in the time we're living now, in the ICT age, etc. And one of the best tools to train soft skills are indeed video games. So we are trying to translate what is happening in the game mechanics and trying to translate these game mechanics into the soft skills you're trying to train. So that's the project we're involved in daily. So thank you very much for your invitation, Paul.
No problem. Thanks for your presentation.
For coming here.
Emiliano, please, your turn.
Hi, thank you. My name is Emiliano Labrador. I don't have anything here.
But soon.
But not yet, because I don't know the English word for that. I put my PhD, my thesis in the university a couple of weeks ago. So I pretend to defend it in 2 or 3 months maximum. So next year.
I will call that being scared.
Okay, so
that's the translation.
Okay. Next year, I hope I will have this in my name, but not yet. So it's a PhD in gamification. I say that for this reason, not any other reason. So I used to be teacher, game design teacher, and design for digital design at the university. But someday I was tired of that, and I changed. A year ago, more or less, I changed my life in a work sense. And now I apply gamification in a IT consultancy that is called Everest. It's not one of the biggest one in the world, but it's quite big for Spain at least. And my topic there is I am UX researcher, user experience researcher, and I apply gamification in that area. It means I love actually to play with users, but not with final users, with the user of the product, but when I research for improve the processes or the product or the services. It means that I enjoy mainly is to play with both users when I research for improve any product or whatever, or when I introduce game mechanics in innovation. Means in my last project, Pau, I can say what this is not a project with a name, with a final state. I continuously apply gamification in innovation for big companies, for large companies like insurance and banking, public sector. Then I don't have a big, nice, cool project where I work in this moment, but have a lot of small projects that I enjoy, and I think I try to people enjoy with these games I invent for them when they have boring, things like innovation.
Okay, thank you. Looks like you are having fun.
Yeah,
well,
mainly.
while working.
Yeah, actually, I am proud of this. Yeah,
Until
I
you are
enjoy,
doctor, right,
very funny
Flavio?
Yeah. Yeah. No, doctor is not funny.
Okay.
No, really no.
Thank you,
Absolutely
Emiliano.
not. Thank you.
Yeah, Andrés, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really glad to see you all here at the Kai Play. So I'm really grateful for the organizers to invite me to this panel. My name is Andrés Garcia Parker. I'm no doctor. I'm just I did my master's in gamification and transmedia narrative, and I'm also president of the Association of GamFed. So we try to promote gamification worldwide. We have people all over the world. So promoting gamification business-wise, and we have a little bit of the academic side. Academic is not our extremely strong side, but you're welcome to join. So one of the projects we're working on right now is we want to do a global hackathon for real business problems and see if people want to crop up with ideas for real-life solutions. So keep in touch on our website if you want further information. I'm also interested in the side of bringing change through cultural changes to specific environmental problems. It's another project. I can't go too much into detail, but yeah, it's very interesting of how we can bring games to help nudge people and understand why people are not taking actions. I'm trying to base it a little bit on complexity science and how in a complex environment, how things interact with each other. So yeah, a very early stage, but it's interesting. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Andrés. Okay, the idea of this panel is at the beginning that we are all presented and introduced. The idea is that I have a couple of questions to ask them so we can create some debate. But the idea is that you can participate. So at the end, we will give you the word and ask the experts anything you want, but also everybody that is following us on the internet, on the stream live, can use the hashtag KaiPlay19 Ask the Experts. So I will be recapping all the questions from here, the audience, and the outside. So guys, get ready because questions are going to come from everywhere, okay? Okay? Okay, so my first question would be, you have been talking about that you are working on gamification, but not in only one sector. I mean, you all touch different sectors, different kind of companies that you are consulting or you are working with. But if you have to select one industry or one sector that has benefited more the last years on gamification, that has received more benefits on using gamification, which one you have to select? You can talk freely, okay? I will cut you because of the time, okay? But go for it. Pete?
Okay. Up until now, I would say the sector that's really done the most with it is the financial services sector. There's countless financial literacy games out there for banks trying to improve the literacy of their customers, sometimes to get them to make better financial decisions, sometimes just to get them to spend more money. But they, right from the early days, they were willing to put money into it. And some of the size and scale of those projects, I think, is quite impressive. The sort of projects we like working on are more culture change, digital transformation type things. So there's not any particular industry, generally. Although we've done quite a bit in pharmaceutical, in HR.
Nice, interesting. Any other ideas?
Absolutely right. For us, we wrote in 2014 that human resources would be the point of penetration of gamification, and we can say now this is true. And for us, we work a lot in training for different teams, and activation and communication through play. This is for banks, for car companies or big companies, but for their teams.
So human resources
Yeah.
for you would be the
Yeah.
the industry that has benefit more
Yeah.
on the use of game elements. Okay.
Of course, we work for the citizens and or for marketing or for different institutions, but human resources for us.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't want to talk more about the kind of industry we're working with, because I think most of us are working with big brands, and that's something we had to take into account when we are working with gamification, that usually they are the only one who has enough money to pay the developments behind and the efforts and designs behind the gamification, the gamified projects. So we prefer to speak more in terms of with what is the people we are asking us to make a gamification project. So we are more related with we are working more with the human resources department, especially in our case. Why? Because our tool is trying to find the talent in this person, so in these people. So they ask us to use video games to collect all the data, to interpret all this data, and then find out which are the most appropriate people to go in an upper level within the company. So we are talking more with people from human resources, and we are more focused on learning, training this, and develop this kind of soft skills with games.
I agree with Flavio. I don't think in companies, or I don't think in sector. I think in people too. It means it doesn't matter for me the company, but I prefer to work with high-level people in the companies, like CEO or very close, because usually they are very serious people, very clever for people, but very serious, very occupied with a lot of things to do. And then when you arrive with your things, your card, your dice, your sitting colors, it's amazing because magic happens. It means we can transform a big company from the basement. We have to transfer a company from the roof. Then I have the opportunity to work with these people, so high, so important, so busy. It's wonderful, not always, but usually the magic happens. And this is very, very nice for us to work with these people, not with this area in particular.
Related to this, just let me ask you a question. Do you think that there's a difference between kind of young CEOs or are different than people like older to understand the benefits of what you are bringing with your cards, with your dice, and like, do you find some difference or not? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, okay, there is yes, but not really. It means, of course, the age is important. Young people are more accustomed to play games, video games, absolutely, it's true. But mentality is important. When you have very important things to do in your company, your mind is another kind of thinking. So age is important, but it's not definitely the most important thing. No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I've had a chance to think about the question, and I'm going to try and answer that question from a GamFed association. So what I'm seeing is more like we're getting more nuclearization of solutions. So we're getting like smaller players trying to solve general solutions to so bringing gamification to places that we wouldn't normally think to take them. So I'm not. It's not particularly. So we're seeing more like an openness to or penetration into different sectors of trying to mix that that technique, that gamification element. So yeah, and that openness to adapt to situations. So for example, growing from Emiliano's statement about younger people, older people. So for example, in startups, it's also very interesting for like to use it as a creative space. I've been seeing that also. So yeah, it's more like a process of making things more fun and break barriers and be able to grow from there. So it's not so much a solution to a particular problem in a corporate environment, but more like a creative breaking barriers for being more creative.
Okay, great. So let's move to more the relationship between your professional practice and research and innovation. So this morning it's been so interesting. So going through different results from research using games, using technology. So how you handle innovation in your companies? I mean, how you decide to use these findings coming from research and how you apply it to your real projects on gamification. And also, but please be brief if you can, how we could make this more close interaction between research practitioners and professional practitioners, you know, to integrate all this knowledge transfer.
This is not a question, Pau.
This is a thesis. No, I think it's an interesting topic for you know the audience that we are today here.
I will answer in my way. In my case, it's different, a little bit different because I am researcher. So my job is research with users. So for me, is to use gamification, or as a tool, of course, to find these findings or to find these opportunities of improvement of the business. It means, in my case, in my particular case, is I don't use research to apply, but the opposite. I gamify to research. So I think in this table is a little bit different in my case.
In my opinion, one of the best news of the hype gamification is the research findings. A lot of brilliant people like Flavio or like Emiliano creating and sharing knowledge, what was really the good news. But in this quite quick lifestyle in our lives, unfortunately, we don't share like we like it. I mean, in my company, for example, of course, we have the culture of innovation in our DNA, and we prototype, we are thinking, we are reading, but I think we don't collaborate like it could be better. It could be nice to do it.
So we need to work on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Pete or Flavio?
I've got a couple of approaches to this. So we're as a consultancy, we're a research-led business, but we base it on your research. So whenever I read a paper or want to talk, I'm always thinking about how can we apply this. So one of my roles I didn't mention is I teach gamification part-time at a couple of universities in the UK. And that's actually also my source of recruits who join the company. So every year they come in with new theories that they've had to research. One of my postgraduate students is now doing a PhD on gamification in the front end of innovation. So there's lots of really interesting stuff coming out of that. But he talks about that, and then I think, how can I sell that and implement it? The other thing we do a lot of is run training courses, in-house workshops for companies around the world. And I find that even if it's like 2 or 3 weeks apart, there's something new to add. There's some new trend in games and gamification that we need to include in some aspect of it. Like we were chatting earlier about esports. And like, for me, gamification is steal what really works well in games and then apply it. And esports ticks that box as well. And the other thing is actually it really frustrates me that other people don't stay up to date. That's why I'm a member of, for one thing. is to help encourage spread best practices. So the conference I mentioned earlier, it's not an academic conference, it's very much business focused, but I always try and get 20 to 30% of the speakers to be from an academic background to talk about the latest theories. And what I really want is the companies that attend to adopt those. So actually it was 3 things, not 2.
One bonus.
Yeah, I think there's a big gap, but not especially focused on gamification only, but in almost every industry sector. Maybe the gap is smaller in engineering, but in most of the industry sector there is a gap for innovation transfer. So why? Because companies are concerned on exploitation, and they have no time, they have no money, so they came into a sector, they came into a field, they try to exploit as much as they can, and they go forward to other subjects. And in another way, we are here, the academic part of the story, trying to innovate, trying to give more arguments about the use of gamification, how gamification can work, and how can't. So there's an important factor too, because companies, they usually they don't want to talk about their fails. It's only their super success cases, but you never will see in Bunch Ball, that is only of the survivors of the gamification Armageddon, is speaking about the failed cases. And I think I'm completely sure that there are a lot of failed cases. Why? Because you need a psychologist behind the numbers, trying to figure out if the behavior change occur or not. And you need a mathematician, you need a data scientist, you need a lot of people trying to check if these behaviors are happening or not, and if really gamification is behind these changes or not. But there is a lot of work to be done, and not so many companies can do that. Under our perspective, we always try to share our data sets with the results of the gamification, and we have not